Good morning. Hi, I'm Matt. I work at Google, as mentioned. Thank you for the intro and the opportunity to speak here. I'll make sure I'm on the clock, and I'll try to finish it as soon as possible within 7 minutes. Being the first speaker, also, I'll talk a little bit about attribution, an area that I've been very passionate about. And I guess just by roll of eyes, I have been in this space for almost 8+ years. And have never looked back. So with that said, just a super quick intro. I work as a product lead within EMEA for attribution, work across our product space, so AdWords, DoubleClick, and then the new product that we are building called Google Attribution. We'll talk a little bit about that product. With that said, let's start very quickly at a high-level note. Based on a lot of studies and a specific study done by BCG Group, we've realized that on an average, a customer takes around 13 interactions before converting online. And this is synonymous. This is something we've seen across all of our major advertisers, and I think this also resonates to you if you're a big brand online, and especially if you're a brand that has an online and an offline presence. With that said, a lot of our advertisers continued being on a last-click model when it comes to giving credit to which one of these activities worked, and then essentially, buying media based on that insight. So last click is great. It at least gives credit to a click, but you know for certain, on an average, it takes 13 interactions to convert. So a last click is no longer relevant. It was probably relevant 20 years back when we weren't tracking all these clicks, or 20 years back when mobile was not such a big deal. It has evolved now. What we've seen over the last 1 year is the tendency for advertisers to move beyond last click. To give you an example, there are a bunch of different ways to attribute conversions across this journey, user journey. You can give credit to a last click model, or you can give credit to the first click that drove the customer. So if I didn't know about him and the customer found out about my brand, well, the first click should get full credit. And then comes a string of attribution models, which are rule-based, so they're based on simple rules, but they give credit to multiple touch points based on this rule set. Some of them are right here, so something like a time decay, which gives more credit as you get closer to the conversion goal. Linear, which is, as simply said, gives equal credit for everyone showing to the party. So if you show up, you get some credit. If you don't show up, you don't get any credit. And then you have a position-based model, which is a little bit smarter. It gives a preferential credit to the first and last click, and an equal credit to anything in the middle. So you give credit to more than one click or more than one interaction. But the problem with all these models, at least the ones in orange, is that they sit in the middle and they're not that smart. So what we've established is last click or first click is fine, but it's not great because there's a lot in the middle that happens, on an average 13 clicks. And then anything in the middle is good because you're giving credit to multiple touch points, but it's a little dumb because you're not sure if you're giving the right credit to the right touch points. Hence, it's like a half step in the right direction. Yeah. With that said, Google has something called the data-driven attribution model. It's based on standard Shapley. If you're interested, I will not talk about that on the call here. But the idea of a Shapley value methodology is to give credit to a click because of its presence in paths that convert, and calculate that over time. So if I'm a click which drives a lot of converting paths, I get more credit versus another media touch point which does not drive that many conversions comparatively. Yeah. With that said, data-driven attribution model is something we launched in AdWords around a year back. And at this point in time, almost half of our advertisers in EMEA have moved on. They've moved on to a more sophisticated multi-touch attribution model when it comes to looking at their results and then bidding with this insight. And this has worked tremendously for us and our advertisers. Machine learning is also an important element. It is the core of what Google does now, and it's visible in all of our product offerings. We've also launched machine learning-based models and algorithms to improve our advertisers' media. When it comes to attribution modeling, our data-driven model is learning behind a machine learning algorithm, and something we are very proud of, which is smart bidding. It's just the act of bidding on your media based on a machine learning algorithm as well. To really summarize, smart bidding, according to us, is the place where attribution becomes actions. And as an advertiser, you can optimize towards a single click or a single touch point. But the fun is when you let an algorithm decide how much money you can spend, how much media money you can spend, and let it optimize against all these signals. And some of them could be time of day, some of them can be device types, etc. And you give specific targets to this algorithm so it never overspends. The fun part is when you bring attribution and smart bidding together, and we've seen a lot of tremendous improvements in our clients' business performance, anything from 20% better conversions at lower cost to almost 60% better conversions with lower cost. We have tons of case studies. I won't bore you on that. Also, we have studies where we've seen advertisers drive 5% better conversion by switching to a data-driven model. That brings me to Google Attribution. Google Attribution is our single product, which is a cross-channel product. It looks at all media, including Google and non-Google media. It is cross-device enabled, gives value for impressions, has a data-driven model that's unsampled, and it's fully actionable, as in what you see in that product is something you can pump into AdWords and double-click and bid with this data. And most importantly, it's free. So you can use it for free. If you're an enterprise customer, we have an enterprise offering as well. Simply said, it pulls your data from Google Analytics and AdWords, processes it, and pushes it back using a data-driven model and a cross-device signal in the back end. I'll skip through some of the initial sites, but we'll go into our first case study that we've published a few months back from HelloFresh, which is part of Rocket Internet, and they're one of the top advertisers who've driven 10% better conversions at lower costs in a cross-channel fashion. They've imported all these conversions. They've imported a data-driven model. They've improved their media spends across all channels. And by acting on this new insight, they were able to drive better conversions at lower cost. And that's our value proposition. We want to put a product out there that doesn't just help you report numbers better, but also allows you to plug it into any system you're using for bidding. Rocket Internet is a big client for us. HelloFresh is extremely important. They've been part of our alpha for almost a year now. They've been the top adopter. And they got a lot of value first by switching to a data-driven model in their current solution, whether it's AdWords or DoubleClick for bidding. And now they've moved on to using Google Attribution. The product, by the way, is in closed beta, so we have a lot of advertisers on the product. We are testing, we are improving the model, we are improving the UI, for example, and we'll very soon, within this year, expose it to more advertisers, and you'll hear from us. With that said, how did HelloFresh get better conversions at lower cost? I mentioned they use smart bidding, so they use our smart bidding algorithms to buy media, online Google media. And that smart bidding algorithm was before working out of a last click model. So it was just giving credit to touch points which were lower in the marketing funnel for HelloFresh. By switching to data-driven and by switching to Google Attribution, which is not just data-driven, but it's also cross-channel. So you can see if a social click and a search click together help conversion and what the value for both these clicks are. They were able to understand the true value of their touch points, which are upper funnel and middle funnel in nature. So things like generic search, mobile, display campaigns, social, they were able to give better valuation or a proper valuation to those touch points, and then fed this conversion signal, this conversion value, back to systems that they use for bidding for this media. So when it comes to Google Media, you have AdWords and DoubleClick. For other media, they were pushing this data out to other solutions. And yes, the other solutions had their tracking and they were relevant, but they were improving their bids based on this insight. Again, just to end, attribution is a continuous journey. What I would suggest, and what I've seen working very well for advertisers, is to do the most with what solutions you have, and then incrementally spend more towards a better solution. So think about using an advanced attribution model in the solutions you have, even if they're single channel, like AdWords or Facebook or whatever you're using. and then build towards a multi-channel, multi-touch solution, and eventually go to a point where you can even integrate this with your CRMs, your in-house solutions that are measuring customer lifetime value. So that's all. Thank you very much.